The European Union have become the latest group to have a meltdown over Suella Braverman's new migration bill. So they're now sending a massive warning to the British government to stop them from banning illegal migrants. I probably have to double check with you guys because you guys are smarter than me. I'm pretty sure we had a referendum in 2016, I think. Something about the EU. I think we voted to leave the EU. And I think a couple of years ago we left the EU. Somehow, the European Commission believe that they can still tell us what to do, what we have to do in our lives. It's fascinating what's going on right now. Let's talk about this issue. Ylva Johansson, who is one of the EU commissioners, one of the 2 million EU commissioners that they have, her portfolio is Home Affairs. So, ironically, Home Affairs, considering that her job is she's basically the Home Secretary for the whole of the European Union. so Home doesn't really apply to nation states. It's the whole of the European continent. But Johansson is very angry. She's angry. She's disappointed with Suella because she doesn't want the British government to stop the illegal migrants, at least their entry. So she basically said, well, I've just spoken to the British minister on this issue, and I told her that I think that this bill is violating international law. You haven't even had the details yet. No one's had the details. They've just released the actual the bill, the basic details of it, not even the legal text. And then the moment that she had the phone call, somehow she already decided to have a meltdown. You had no idea that whether this bill is going to violate international law. But they decided to have their own prejudice against it anyway. Now, obviously, they're smart. They know exactly what they're doing. Because if they put pressure early on, and you're going to have the mainstream media talking about how Ylva Johansson is very disappointed, more pressure on the government and civil servants in the Home Office, so they're going to get scared. They're not going to get on with implementing this bill. It's not going to work out because of this. Now, the Home Office, sources close to Suella have now said, well, Suella Braverman spoke to the commissioner before her Commons statement. So before they even published anything and before the publication of the bill, she disagreed with the commissioner and asked her to read the detail of the bill once it was published. This is not rocket science. This is basic governance. You can't really make judgment on any text before the text has been published, you idiots. Because for them, it's not really about legality. It's about the optics of politics. And this is the only reason. Everything for them is about political games. The European Union, the whole existence, is just to be an angry, shouty, divisive organization that pretends to be nice and friendly, like a teddy bear. We are here to have a united Europe. We're all friendly neighbors. We all love each other, even though the Greeks and Germans are at each other's throats. You got the Spanish, you have the Italians, you got the French and the Portuguese. Everyone's angry, but they pretend that they are so united, so united. We're going to have tomorrow, Friday, 10th of March, the UK-France summit between Macron and Rashid Sunak. And Rashid Sunak and Emmanuel are going to be discussing various issues, especially the small boats and illegal migration. So somehow Ylva Johansson decided to butt in, as usual, as a commissioner of Home Affairs, saying that, well, this is very concerning for the upcoming UK-France summit because we care about migration, refugees, and we care about women, especially vulnerable women. I'm still trying to find out, in all these documents and data and pictures that we see from Dover, where are the women on these boats? Sometimes you get one or two every few months, but they're all young, healthy, adult males, and this is the reality. But the European Union are not really concerned about refugees or vulnerable women because we have some updates. We actually have, they make things so uncomfortable for Ukrainians that 11 million Ukrainian refugees decided to go back to Ukraine from the EU. So 16 million of them arrived in the European Union in 2022 since the invasion. And 11 million of them basically decided to go back. Things have been so bad in Europe. It said, we'll rather just go back to Ukraine. It's not really doing it for us. It's a genius move from the European Union. France did the same thing with basic asylum seekers or economic migrants. They pushed them out so they could get on a boat to come to the UK because we're so generous and open, and this has been a problem. Now, Ukrainian refugees flows, according to Johansson, is probably not even a crisis, according to. Are you kidding me with this? They don't even know what they're doing. There was also an article that came out a couple of days ago about how this propaganda from the European Union that they care about vulnerable women. They've been making so much progress across the continent to help women empowerment. So they had International Women's Day, and they were very celebrating, but the lack of data is a definition that shows that the European Union is failing women. So the Capital did an article on this, which is quite fascinating, and the idea is that they've been pretending to say, well, women are now more prosperous and safe in Europe. But in reality, every country that they've listed, all the member states, things are getting worse and worse for basic standards of living and quality of life and safety and life expectancy and everything. So I'm not really sure what they're doing in the European Commission with all these meetings that they have every single day, because they have meetings about having a meeting to have a meeting. It's just meetings about meetings. And nothing really gets done in the European Union, but they do end up going to have very, very good long lunches with champagnes and caviars on the gravy trains. It's brilliant. I wish I had the job there. Anyway, let me know what you think. We're going to come back and talk to you guys about the SNP's Westminster leader, Stephen Flynn, who also had a bit of an irrational speech and rant against the British borders and illegal migration. I'm Mahyar Tousi, and we are the media.